And we can get pretty creative with how we do things. So for example, let's say there were a couple states that I want to call out for some reason. Maybe they have high infection rates or something like that. In this case, I'm just gonna I want to call out the states that begin with C. So that's going to be California, Colorado, and a really small one over here on the East Coast for Connecticut. And I want to color those states differently from all of the other states in the continental US. Let's take a look at the code cell below to see how we can get a little bit more creative and how we might color just the C states like California, Colorado, and Connecticut. So this first command in this code cell below is saying, let's go into the US underscore SF data frame, look at the abbreviation column, and let's find all the index for all of the states that have an abbreviation that begins with C. So this is pulling off the indices for those rows. Then what I want to go into is I'm going to set up two color choices. My color is going to be determine that all of the states are going to be colored red, or excuse me, gray. Then I want to change the color from gray to orange for all of the states that begin with C. So all this did, first of all, is it said, we're going to choose a color gray, and we're going to repeat gray 48 times so that all 48 continental US states are colored gray. Then I'm going to override that for just a couple of states. So for the rows that have an index for one of the states that begins with C, we're going to change. So my color is a vector. We're going to change the coloring to orange. So this my color is now going to be like gray, 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 orange, gray, 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 orange. So there's going to be 3 rows or 3 entries for orange that have the same index as California, Colorado, and Connecticut. And then we're also going to do something similar with the borders. I'm going to set the border to be yellow for every state. So that's going to color the polygon that forms the border yellow. We're going to do this for all 48 states. We're going to repeat that 48 times. Then for just the states that have an index for one of the states that begins with C, we're going to change that border to blue. So now I've got my color, which is gray, except there's 3 rows that have orange. I've got my border, which is all yellows, but there's going to be 3 entries that have blue. And now I'm going to plot the geometry column of US underscore SF. So that's going to plot all of the states. Then I'm going to give it a color, which is going to be gray for most states, but orange for 3 of the states. I'm going to color the border yellow for all of the states, except for the 3 C states that are going to have a blue border. And then we set our window with the XLim and YLim arguments so that we're just going to zoom in on the continental US, and we're going to exclude Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico from that plot, since it's going to be out of the viewing window. And so we'll run play here, and you can see after running this code cell that worked. I'll say that the borders are colored a little bit strange because it depends on the order that the states were plotted. So if California got plotted first, and then Nevada got plotted second, the yellow border covers up the blue border. And so that's what happened with Colorado, apparently. You can see the blue border got colored after the yellow border for the intersection with Nebraska. But for all of the other states that border Colorado, the blue border got colored up by a yellow border since that state was plotted afterwards. Connecticut is all surrounded in blue since it must have been plotted before all of the states that border it. But you can clean that up if you wanted to. I don't want to kind of dwell on that aspect, but that's how you can call out a couple of different states in the plot. So we can get pretty creative on how we format the different geometries. Okay, so in the next video, um, we'll talk about how we can plot attributes um, for an SF object. Uh, yeah, I'm sorry. Here's just another way that we could create that same plot, cleaning up the borders compared to the borders that we had over here. So in this case, we're kind of adding two geometries on top of each other. So I could plot all of the states first in gray and yellow, and then I can overlay on top of that just plotting the states that begin with C and plot those, color them orange with a blue border. And then I need to use this add equals true argument. So that means add this plot on top of the previous plot. So that ensures that we color California, Colorado, and Connecticut on top of the other states. So this will put the blue border on top of the yellow border always. And that looks a little bit nicer. Okay, so now we've cleaned that up. That will wrap up this video, and then we'll take a look at how we can overlay some attributes in the next video.